What's up, everybody? It's your girl Cha Cha, reporting live from the Cosmic Club, and we are back with another episode of Off the Charts. This is a series about mindset and money and showing you how to attract more into your life by first changing what you put into your mind. Now, this is a series for people who actually want to build wealth, for people who want to learn practical ways of how to do that. So, we're going to be continuing the book called The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. This is something that we've been doing for a few weeks now, just working chapter through chapter to really understand what this book is trying to tell us. It's been an open discussion, and I really appreciate everybody who's been watching, who's been sharing, who's been commenting, and who's just been learning a lot about how to change how you think in order to get what you want. You can find out more information about this series on ourcosmicclub.com, which is the website for my personal organization teaching people how to make money in non traditional ways, specifically online, because I am a digital entrepreneur. I've been doing this for 2 years, and now I'm just in a position where I'm ready to teach other people how to do the same thing. So if you haven't already checked out the rest of the episodes, make sure you head over, right? Hit the subscribe button right down there so that you can always stay up to date with any videos that I post. Turn on the notification bell, share this with somebody who may need the information, like, comment, and all those jazzy things. So, I'm super excited. We are almost done with this book. Season two of Off the Charts is coming to a close, and we will be working on season three very soon, which I'm so excited to be sharing with you guys. But without further ado, we are going to be talking about chapter 14 today, which is called The Impression of Increase. Now, all of these chapters are extremely amazing. You can find this book on YouTube, right? You can listen to it on YouTube. I listen to it on Apple Music, or you can find it on Spotify where any audiobooks or things are streamed. So I hope you guys do take advantage of the information that's being shared here. I highly encourage you to get your notebooks, get your pens, make sure you take notes because it's nice to listen to something, but it's even better when you have notes and your own words to go back and refer to. Now, so far, we've covered 13 topics about the science of getting rich. The first one is the right to be rich. That's chapter one. Again, all of these are videos that you can find on my channel. The second one is there is a science to getting rich. The third one is opportunity monopolized. The fourth one is the first principle on the science of getting rich, which is that all things are created by thoughts. That's extremely important to remember. So write that down, right? Chapter 5 is called Increasing Life. Chapter 6 is called How Riches Come to You. Chapter 7 is called Gratitude, which is pretty much self explanatory. Chapter 7 is called Thinking in a Certain Way. Chapter 8 is called Chapter 7 is Gratitude. Chapter 8 is Thinking in a Certain Way. Chapter 9 is How to Use the Will, right? Chapter 10 is The Further Use of the Will. Chapter 11 is Acting in a Certain Way. Chapter 12 is Efficient Action. And chapter 13, which we've previously covered, is called Getting into the Right Business. Now, I really like the way that this book flows because he's explaining to you that wealth is for everyone, right? And anyone who ever told you that wealth is not for you, that person had the wrong idea because maybe they didn't believe that wealth was actually available to them. Or anybody who's tried to keep you in a box or limit your goals or desires, keep you in a certain tax bracket, or keep you earning at a certain income level, they were wrong, right? Or if nobody has ever told you that wealth isn't for you, why haven't you taken the steps to get started? Right? I know that we all want to create better lives for ourselves. We all want to create better lives for our children and our future family members. And we have to remember that the work that we put in today is going to be a direct correlation into the results that we are getting tomorrow. And this all starts with your thoughts, right? Like, have you ever been thinking about a person and then they called you, right? Or they contacted you? Or have you ever been thinking about a song and then a couple of moments or even days later, you actually hear that song and you're like, wow, I was just thinking about this. That was not an accident. Every single thing that you think will be produced. An analogy I like to give on this series is that when you think a thought, imagine that you're sending it to a printer. And no matter what you think, for better or for worse, these things will be printed and they will be produced and they will manifest in your life. Now, I notice that a lot of people will continuously focus on the things that they do not want. Oh, I don't want this type of job. Oh, I wish I could have more money. Oh, I don't like this and I don't like that. But it's much more helpful to you in getting what you want if you actually focus on what you do want. If you ever woke up on the wrong side of the bed, right? and then you continue, like your day just continued to go down here from there. Just drop some sevens in the chat, or just nine, yes, if you're watching this playback on YouTube, right? And that's simply because when you stubbed your toe in the morning or when something happened, you're like, this day is going to be bad. I already know it. And just because you said that, that's exactly why your day turned out the way it was. Now, on the other side, if you ever started off in a really positive mood, you woke up in a great mood, and then great things continue to happen in your day, that is also a direct result of you thinking positively, hence getting those positive results. So, in a very basic sense, whatever you put into your mind is going to be exactly what comes out. The things that you're watching on social media, the music that you're listening to, the people that you're talking to, the conversations that you're having, and the things that you see the most or choose to focus on are going to be what is produced most in your life. Now, with that being said, if you want to create wealth and you want to create riches and you want to have abundance, then the first thing to do is to actually change the way that you think about those things and to understand that is to understand that you deserve them, right? Because why not? If you take those steps in the right direction, there's no reason why you won't get there. If I was to put in my GPS right now, directions to, let's just say, Miami, Florida, driving, and I got in my car, right, and I started to drive, the only way I will not get to Miami is if I stop driving, because I know where I want to go, right? I've had the vision in my mind. I put the gas in my car. I got on the road and I headed in that direction. Now, even if it rains, do you think I'm going to just cancel my trip? If just because there's a roadblock or a detour or maybe the tolls are more than you expected, are you going to change your trip, or are you going to keep pushing through until you reach that destination? And you have to really think about that when it comes to setting your own goals as well. You are in control of where this is going, right? And it's all going to start with, what are you thinking about this thing? Do you genuinely believe that you're going to reach your destination, or are you too focused on the roadblocks to even get started? Um and that's just something that we have to be willing to address and admit, is that, you know what, maybe I have been thinking wrong, maybe I have been taught wrong, maybe I have not had the best influence when it comes to wealth, abundance, and money. But don't keep yourself in that place, but just know that you can change it going forward, right? Now, you didn't choose your name, right? You didn't choose your name unless you legally change your name. You didn't choose your birth name. It's just something that came with you, and you don't know how many times you had to hear your name. You don't know how many times you had to hear it in order for it to be implanted into your mind and for you to start to identify with what that is. And again, the same thing occurs when you think about the wealth that you want to have, for the life that you want to live. Are you hearing it enough times to put yourself in a position to believe it, right? Or are you only hearing, you can't, you can't, you can't? Are you only seeing people that are not having the financial results that you want? Are you only having conversations about what you wish you can do instead of the actual steps that it's going to take to get there? So that's just really something to consider. Is that your programming, right? When you watch television, it's called TV programming, right? Because it's programming you to watch a certain thing at a certain time. You know when the show is coming on, you know the characters because you've heard it and you've seen it so many times. When you see certain commercials, when you hear certain, I can hear a small melody in a song and I know what the song is. Why? Because I've heard it enough times in my mind for me to be able to identify with that specific thing. Now, we are going to be talking about chapter 14 today, which is the impression of increase. It's something that's, again, extremely important to understand when it comes to building wealth and when it comes to getting different results in your life than you've been traditionally getting. But again, it all starts with you. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off for a few seconds just so we can listen to this chapter. It's about 5 minutes and 54 seconds. Then we're going to have an open discussion about what was he actually saying in this chapter and how you can apply, right, the concept of the impression of increase or any other chapter in this book to get you closer to your financial goals than you've been before. Now, this is not some hoopla. It's really not magic, but it's very practical, right? There's a science to cooking, right? There's a science to movement. There's a science to color, and there is a science to getting rich. So, without further ado, guys, here is chapter 14. Make sure you're taking notes. And if you have any questions or commentary as we're going along, leave it in the chat and I'll make sure to address it. And again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss, right, a chance to sit in on one of these amazing conversations and you actually sitting on a chance to change your life. So here we go.
Chapter 14, The Impression of Increase. Whether you change your vocation or not, your actions for the present must be those pertaining to the business in which you are now engaged. You can get into the business you want by making constructive use of the business you are already established in, by doing your daily work in a certain way. And insofar as your business consists in dealing with other men, whether personally or by letter, the key thought of all your efforts must be to convey to their minds the impression of increase. Increase is what all men and all women are seeking. It is the urge of the formless intelligence within them, seeking fuller expression. The desire for increase is inherent in all nature. It is the fundamental impulse of the universe. All human activities are based on the desire for increase. People are seeking more food, more clothes, better shelter, more luxury, more beauty, more knowledge, more pleasure, increase in something, more life. Every living thing is under this necessity for continuous advancement. Where increase of life ceases, dissolution and death set in at once. Man instinctively knows this, and hence he is forever seeking more. The normal desire for increased wealth is not an evil or reprehensible thing. It is simply the desire for more abundant life. It is aspiration, and because it is the deepest instinct of all their natures, all men and women are attracted to him who can give them more of the means of life. In following the certain way as described in the foregoing pages, you are getting continuous increase for yourself, and you are giving it to all with whom you deal. You are a creative center from which increase is given off to all. Be sure of this, and convey assurance of the fact to every man, woman, and child with whom you come in contact. No matter how small the transaction, even if it be only the selling of a stick of candy to a little child, put into it the thought of increase and make sure that the customer is impressed with the thought. Convey the impression of advancement with everything you do, so that all people shall receive the impression that you are an advancing man, and that you advance all who deal with you. Even to the people whom you meet in a social way, without any thought of business, and to whom you do not try to sell anything, give the thought of increase. You can convey this impression by holding the unshakable faith that you, yourself, are in the way of increase, and by letting this faith inspire, fill, and permeate every action. Do everything that you do in the firm conviction that you are an advancing personality and that you are giving advancement to everybody. Feel that you are getting rich and that in doing so you are making others rich and conferring benefits on all. Do not boast or brag of your success or talk about it unnecessarily. True faith is never boastful. Wherever you find a boastful person, you find one who is secretly doubtful and afraid. Simply feel the faith and let it work out in every transaction. Let every act and tone and look express the quiet assurance that you are getting rich, that you are already rich. Words will not be necessary to communicate this feeling to others. They will feel the sense of increase when in your presence and will be attracted to you again. You must so impress others that they feel that in associating with you, they will get increase for themselves. See that you give them a use value greater than the cash value you are taking from them. Take an honest pride in doing this and let everybody know it, and you will have no lack of customers. People will go where they are given increase, and the Supreme, which desires increase in all and which knows all, will move toward you men and women who have never heard of you. Your business will increase rapidly, and you will be surprised at the unexpected benefits which will come to you. You will be able from day to day to make larger combinations, secure greater advantages, and to go on into a more congenial vocation if you desire to do so. But doing all this, you must never lose sight of your vision of what you want, or your faith and purpose to get what you want. Let me here give you another word of caution in regard to motives. Beware of the insidious temptation to seek for power over other men. Nothing is so pleasant to the unformed or partially developed mind as the exercise of power or dominion over others. The desire to rule for selfish gratification has been the curse of the world. For countless ages, kings and lords have drenched the earth with blood in their battles to extend their dominions. This not to seek more life for all, but to get power for themselves. Today, the main motive in the business and industrial world is the same. Men marshal their armies of dollars and lay waste the lives and hearts of millions in the same mad scramble for power over others. Commercial kings, like political kings, are inspired by the lust for power. Look out for the temptation to seek for authority, to become a master, to be considered as one who is above the common herd, to impress others by lavish display, and so on. The mind that seeks for mastery over others is the competitive mind, and the competitive mind is not the creative one. In order to master your environment and your destiny, it is not at all necessary that you should rule over your fellow men, and indeed, when you fall into the world's struggle for the high places, you begin to be conquered by fate and environment, and your getting rich becomes a matter of chance and speculation. Beware of the competitive mind. No better statement of the principle of creative action can be formulated than the favorite declaration of the late Golden Rule, Jones of Toledo. What I want for myself, I want for everybody.
Wow. So that chapter was amazing. And all I was hearing when he was talking was you do what you want when you pop in. And it just makes people want to be around you even more. Like, one thing about this chapter that I really love is how he says that every single thing in life's deepest desire is for increase, right? Have you ever seen a plant, right? You plant a seed and then the plant just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, and there's no limit. Like once a plant reaches a certain amount of leaves or a certain amount of flowers, it doesn't stop growing. It continues to grow as long as it's nurtured and cared for. And this is exactly how you should treat yourself. There is no limit because the same air, wind, water, and life force that's fueling these plants to continuously grow as long as they're nurtured is the same life force that is actually nurturing you and causing you to have that desire for more. Just because you want more, that doesn't, it's not a bad thing at all. It's actually the most natural thing because you are another living thing on this planet and you should always seek to increase, right? Like, why keep yourself in a position that you don't have to be in, right? If somebody told you that you can have more, right, you could have a bigger living space, if you could have a more spacious and comfortable car, if you could have a better wardrobe that was closely more in alignment with how you saw yourself, why would you deny yourself that opportunity? And simply by not trying to achieve this type of life or not understanding that you have desire and right to this increase into this life force is extremely important in your journey to be successful and to build wealth. And I'm super excited because I'm somebody who ever since I was a very young child, right? I've always wanted more. And nobody taught me to want more. It was just always a desire that I had. And it's probably a desire that you have as well. Maybe you're in a working position that you don't like and you desire to have more time freedom. You want more time to yourself. That's perfectly fine. But what are you doing about that thing? Like, are you actually working towards the increase to get more, or are you keeping yourself where you're at for fear of change or for fear of something new? Again, just going back to the analogy of a plant, when another leaf sprouts, do you think that the other leaves get jealous and um, try to sabotage that leaf, or do you think that everyone's just like, yes, more, 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 like just like the Drake album, right? More life. It's all about going towards that increase, going after what you actually want, and not letting anybody tell you that you don't deserve it or you cannot have that thing, right? And think about it. Let's just think logically for a second. Think with me for a second here. I want you to go back to the moment in your life where somebody told you that you did not deserve to have more. Maybe you've expressed interest in a better lifestyle. Maybe you've expressed interest in a higher paid position. Maybe you've expressed interest in entrepreneurship, and the people that you're expressing these ideas with, they're like, oh no, why? And they're trying to make you feel like you're better than everybody else. But the truth is that they think that you're better than them. And it's not to say that it's true or not, right? That's going to be up to you to decide, but it's just because you want more. Most people don't have that desire for themselves, so it's easy to shoot somebody down if that's the paradigm that they're living in. Now, Bob Proctor, one of my favorite mentors, is a man who talks a lot about, basically is all he talks about, is shifting your paradigm to be where you want to be and to get what you want to get. And a paradigm, just simply put, is your habitual behaviors and thoughts. When you get up in the morning, do you stretch? Do you use the bathroom? Do you brush your teeth? And do you do these things without thinking about it? Right? Your habitual behaviors are things that you do that you don't even have to think about. And as Bob Proctor would say, almost all of our behaviors are habitual. Do you have the right behaviors that are getting you closer to that wealthy lifestyle, or are you having behaviors that are the opposite and getting you further away? Are you good with putting away money? Are you good with saving money? Are you good with thinking about money? Do you think you actually deserve these things, or are you choosing to stay stuck and limited because of maybe your coworkers, maybe your family members, maybe the relationship that you're in is not reflecting the same increase in value that you see within yourself, right? If this has ever happened to you or something you experienced, just go ahead and drop some sevens in the chat, right? Because he said it's completely natural of every living thing to just grow and want more. Right? We were all babies at one time, and it was just natural to grow and to become something more. So once you get to a certain age, what makes you think that the growing stops? What makes you think that the learning stops? What makes you think that the income stops? What makes you think that the resources stops? What makes you think that your network and connection stop? What makes you think that just because you've only traveled within your country, who's to say that you can't travel to every country if that's something that you desire to do? Just because you've hit six figures, who's to say you can't hit seven figures or eight figures or nine figures or even 10 figures in your account? Right? Increase is something that is natural and it's something we should all seek to express. We all know that people who carry themselves a certain way, who give off a certain aura, who give off a certain energy, they tend to attract more people. Like if you feel like you're the type of person where you're always the light in the room, you're always bringing people's spirits up, and people tend to want to be around you, is because they sense something in you that you may or may not see in yourself. If you've had strangers come up and talk to you, if you've been given opportunities over other people that you yourself didn't even know that you were qualified for, it's because you have that impression of increase over your life. Like people associate you with big things, they associate you with big dreams, they associate you with abundance, right? Abundance is not always financial, but I would say it's a pretty positive thing to be associated with abundance, right? You want people to know that you're not afraid to go for more, and you want people to know that you're not afraid to have more. And we want people to know that you're not afraid to manage more, and that having more and wanting more and desiring more is something that's really ingrained into your identity and personality. I would say that that's something amazing to be associated with. Just think about your favorite basketball player, right? Or maybe not even your favorite, but think about the biggest basketball player. Think about Michael Jordan, right? Because he is Michael Jordan and because he has played such a great game of basketball and because he has created the Jordan Empire, anybody who could be associated with Michael Jordan in the realm of sports, or just when you think of greatness, they're going to want to be associated with him because of where he's been able to take himself and the things that he's produced based on the results that he's gotten, most likely starting with the thoughts and intentions that he set for himself. Now, there's a lot of artists out there that are amazing, but let's think about artists who have actually reached really high pinnacles of their career. I'm not going to say the top of their career because, again, this chapter is all about the impression of increase. There are people who have hit certain plateaus in their career, but then they continue to hit plateaus. They continue to make number ones. They continue to make hits. They continue to be able to work with newer artists who actually come out because people want to be associated with what they've created for themselves. Think artists like Drake, right? Think artists like Beyonce, right? Think artists that just keep rising, and every single year you're like, wow, this person is still working, this person is still going. Yes, because why not? If you can hit a certain level, why would you stop there? Think about in the realms of fitness, right? There are people who run marathons, right? But then there's somebody who may beat their record, or people may be trying to beat their own record, because if they could run this amount of miles in a certain amount of time, why can't they increase that by continuous the desire to do so, and then the practice and the action to help them actually reach that next level. Right now, something I want you guys to keep in mind is that there is always a next level. Right now, guys, just put that in the chat, or if you are watching this playback on YouTube, just say out loud, there is always a next level. Right? You don't have to stop right there. Right? You don't have to stop. You can keep going, you can keep growing, and don't let anybody try to convince you that where you are or what you are is all you will ever be, because it's simply not true. um if you are 30 years old, somebody can't sit there and say, well, you're going to be 30 for the rest of your life. It's like, no, you're obviously going to be 31, and there are things that you can accomplish in your 31st year of life, and your 32nd year of life, and your 33rd year of life, Jesus year, right? If you continue to actually live, right? Living itself is a reflection of increase. But are you really going to? internalize that thought and internalize that belief that things are always growing, right? So you're always growing, right? The grass is always growing, right? Trees are always growing. So your bank account should always be growing as well. Just because you've made $25,000 in a year with your small business, that doesn't mean that the next year you won't make 30,000. That doesn't mean that the next year after that you won't make 50,000. That doesn't mean that $100,000 days or years are not on the horizon for you, because it is if you keep going in that direction. This series is all about mindset and money, and it's about shifting your mindset to get you in a place where you know that, you know what, I actually can have more if I want more. I just have to be willing to take the steps to get it. Now, it won't always be easy, right? Building wealth is not always easy. Well, it's never easy, but it is very rewarding and it is very simple. If you take the steps in this book that he's trying to explain to you, if you continue to read, right, increasing your knowledge, the impression of increase, if you read more books, right, listen to Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, listen to Think and Grow Rich, listen to You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor, right, listen to these things, increase your knowledge, right, increase your awareness, right, increase your desires and really tap into what it is that you want, right? There's nothing wrong with making six figures in a year. There's nothing wrong with making six figures in a week or even making six figures in a day. These are all things that are possible if you continue to strive for those things. An analogy that I will give on every single episode is the analogy of travel. Because if I put a destination in my GPS, the only way that I will not reach that destination is if I basically never take the trip or if I just stop going. Right? Imagine if I was 50%. The example I use, I live in New Jersey. The example was if I'm driving from New Jersey to Miami, right? And yes, we know that this drive can be a 24-hour drive. If I get 12 hours into my drive and I decide this is too hard, I don't want to go anymore, and I turn around, of course I'm never going to reach my destination because I stopped. Or if let's just say I get 20 hours into my journey. I'm 4 hours away and now there's a roadblock. Do you think that I'm going to turn around and sacrifice the 20 hours of time that I put in? I'm going to sacrifice the gas, the energy, the intentions, the happiness, the hopes and thoughts that I've had about my trip just because there's a roadblock, just because there's a storm coming, just because there's something that's out of my control. Do you think that I'm going to change my GPS when I've already made it so far? Right? Now, a 24-hour drive is a long thing, but think about a 24-month plan when it comes to building success. Think about it the same way. You're 20 months in. Maybe your business hasn't gotten to where you want it to be, but you have a 24-month plan. Why would you quit in month 20? Right? You have a 5 year plan. Why would you quit on year three? Right? Just because things aren't looking the way that you expected them to look, you have to finish the course in order to see what it actually could have been. You have to keep working towards it because you know increase is possible. You were not meant to be stuck or you were not meant to be stagnant. Our bodies are consistently moving. Our hearts are beating. Our eyes are blinking. Like everything's moving, it's always going. So you have to take on that energy and do the same exact thing. You have to stay in motion with your goals, stay in motion with your desires, focus on increase, right? Because not only will you be creating more success, prosperity, and abundance for yourself, but unintentionally you may inspire the people around you to do the same thing. You can come to somebody with $1 million idea, you could come to somebody with $1 billion idea, but if they're stuck on a five-figure mindset, right, then they're not going to be able to help you. You have to put yourself in circles with people who are thinking similarly to how you think. You have to continue to strive for more because it's the most natural thing that you can do. It's extremely unnatural to settle. It's extremely unnatural to want to stop growing. It's extremely unnatural to not want to change because all of these things are natural in nature, right? All these things are natural in nature. So it's the same thing when it comes to what you desire for yourself. And the question is really simple, right? I need you guys to just really drop your answer in the chat right now. But it's a yes or no question. Do you want more out of this life, right? And I'm seeing a lot of yeses, right? I'm seeing a lot of yeses in the chat because that's the only answer, right? You yourself were once a seed, right? And even do you think a seed knows when it's about to go from being a seed to having that first sprout out of the ground? Do you know how much resistance it must be for that first leaf to break out of the ground? Have you ever seen any type of plants or grass or anything grow out of concrete, could you imagine the resistance that that seed faced before it actually broke through and it was still able to flourish? And now we can recognize that thing as grass, right? Think about yourself as a seed. There's another analogy that says people threw dirt on your name, but they didn't know that they were planting you to grow. See yourself as a seed, right? Seeds have to sprout, right? We don't know how big they're going to be. We don't know how small they're going to be, but we know that they have to be planted in order to grow. And we know that once it starts growing, it could be growing for many, 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 many years to come. Some trees, most trees are hundreds of years old, right? Do you think that when that seed was first planted, intentionally or unintentionally, that the tree just said, you know what, once I get to this height and this length and this many leaves, I'm just going to stop growing? Or do you think the tree did what it was planted to do, which is grow and to be big? And who knew 100 years later, we will still be looking at the same things. Think about your wealth building and your legacy right now. You are still planting seeds every single day, and you don't know when they're going to sprout. You don't know the resistance that they're going to face before the sprouting actually begins. You don't know how sturdy the roots are going to be, and you don't know how far this thing could actually go if you continue to nurture it. Right? If you continue to take in the light, take in the air, and just be, right? Just be, just do what you came here to do. Find out what your purpose is. Find out what you love to do. Find out where you thrive, right? Find out what is the right business for you to get into. If you haven't listened to chapter 13, it's the previous video, I highly encourage you to listen to it. I actually highly encourage you to listen to this entire series because it's a very personal and practical conversation about money and mindset. That is what Off the Charts is all about. This series was started out of the need to inspire people to desire more for their lives. I'm also an educator, right? I teach people how they can create wealth through non-traditional streams of income, things you may have heard of and never tried, or things you may have never heard of. These are conversations that I love to have within the Cosmic Club, right? So if you really enjoyed this series, please make sure that you like this video. Leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts were. Let me know how you plan to increase in this year and every year going forward, right? Make sure that you hit the notification bell so when I post the next video, you never miss out on what's happening. Make sure that you share this video with somebody who you believe could hear this conversation, and make sure you review your notes and really apply these things. Decide what it is that you want, right? And then go after it. And don't be afraid about what you desire, right? Because it's natural to want more. It's natural to want stability. It's natural to want money, right? It's natural to want a better life. It's natural to want a better environment. It's natural to want to travel and see the world. It's natural to want more. So, with that being said, I encourage you guys to go after everything you want in this lifetime. And please let me know once you achieve those goals because it all starts in your mind. And if you realize that you've been thinking the wrong way about a lot of things, stop and correct it. Change your thoughts, change your paradigm, change your habitual behaviors because that's what's going to get you closer, right? The key to your future lies in the habits of your everyday routine. So if you're not doing things that are helping you build wealth and helping you get closer to that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 figure account, stop, right? And do something different. So that's all for me today, folks. My name is Cha Cha. This is the Cosmic Club, and we have completed another episode of Off the Charts. I'll see you guys on the next episode where we will be continuing our discussion on the science of getting rich by Wallace D. Wattles. And chapter 15 is called The Advancing Man. So I'll see you guys then.